Welcome back to the channel with no long intros or techno music, ever. So anyway, my 18-year-old son with the Turbo Miata, he had a '06 Pontiac Grand Prix gifted to him by his friend that was just like, here, take it. It was a running car. I told him to sell it. He did not sell it. It was sat in my driveway.
Sell this thing when it's like this.
Well, it wasn't mine to sell, so it was easier to pile the snow up on top of it to send a message than it was to move the snow all the way over to the yard. Now we're really paying for this.
My buddy's sister crashed her car in a snowstorm, an '09 G6 Pontiac, and so we did a little swap-a-roo there.
Alright, we're here at the scene of the crime and a new car, or a new set of wheels there. Trading up for this one that was recently in a little curb swerve incident, but no big deal. Put it up in the trailer and get it going. It's got a broken axle, but we're gonna see if it'll drive in. And it's not moving. Shit. After tandem ratchet strapping for about a half an hour, we got this done.
Man, Joel, I thought you were stronger than that.
Oh shit.
What happened?
Come on, dude?
What happened?
I did all the work.
No, you didn't.
I guess this is where the PSA comes in. Don't use thin, shitty ratchet straps that come with your $2,000 trailer, because the car will come shooting forward and do that.
Looks normal. Why'd you put that strap on wrong, Joel?
Man, I don't know. I thought I told the guy.
Yeah, right.
I did.
I said, I don't know. Fuck, I usually put that thick one in the back, I said.
That's not that bad. And mission number 2 for the day, which should be a lot easier. We got the truck to pull this thing out. Boom. You never know where you're gonna find these CRXs. This is my latest parts car that has been sitting here. Oh yeah. Lots of good parts here still. As soon as Joel gets his ass in gear and pulls this thing out.
Oh, and you're not jumping in there and steering it? Or
No, no, I got the steering wheel right here. We're good.
what? Just jump in and drive it. Right?
Get this. Come on, I'm hungry. Let's go to lunch.
Well, we got the latest parts car home and let it thaw out in the garage for a couple hours. Just had snow and stuff all over it. But not bad for 200 bucks. I still have not gone through it, which is what I'm about to do. I'm not gonna tear this one all down tonight, but there is quite a bit of junk inside of it. So it's almost like Christmas again to see what kind of cool stuff there is. Now I really just bought this car because actually it has a hood that doesn't have any holes in it. My car that I'm building had hood pins installed, so it has 2 holes that I wasn't going to use. And I thought, well, I'd have to find a hood. This does have a running 1.5 engine and transmission, which I won't use, but I think there's some circle track racers that still use those in the local area, so maybe get 100 bucks for that stuff. But anyway, just, you know, basically saving everything, saving all the parts. Again, this one will be cut up after all the good parts are off of it. And eventually I will have one good CRX if it takes me 7 rust buckets to do it.
Oh, just open that cargo area behind the back seat. There's a big old rat's nest, mouse something or other. Oh, it stinks. What'd you find, Drew?
A mouse.
Oh, nice. Good work. Man, I knew this having kids thing was going to pay off for me sooner or later. Well, the initial walkthrough is done. We found a couple good parts. That rear deck is one of them, which I already have. I was pretty excited about these rear lights, and then I noticed that that one's cracked, and then that one is cracked. There's still a good right one. So thinking of ideas with my car here, I noticed on this rear deck here, it's real wavy for some reason, and I don't know why. But more than that, there's a lot of scratches on this glass. Don't know what those are from. I did notice them on the quarter windows too. There's more scratches in here. So I think one of the things that I'll get from this is the rear hatch, which the glass is in good shape, and no waviness on the back lid here, so that's a good thing. So after the walk around of the top side, there isn't a whole lot going on for this car other than it's got some miscellaneous parts. The door handles and mirrors and all that stuff will be saved. The windshield does have a small crack in it. I could have used that, but I'll put it up in the air and we'll see what's under there. Okay, we got the car up in the air and looking underneath. All the suspension's there. It's rusty. The exhaust looks like it's been hacked together multiple times. Oh, we could probably salvage some control arms or something off of it. The rockers look like they're gonna be in trouble, just like most of them. Yeah, look at that. Rusty. And rusty. I might be able to... No, that rocker's gone too. Still gonna need to find rockers for my car. Just not sure where I'm gonna do that. Have to make them or what's gonna happen. But we'll get these mud flaps and that sick Ricer exhaust there. Yeah, looks like another $199 car for $200. But gotta save them all day, so we'll take the parts off and do what we do.
Good productive first day on the CRX parts car number 2 here in the garage. We got the axles, another set of axles were found in the back, some mud flaps, some good interior pieces, and worked on getting the engine out. If you come this way, you see, the headliner had a gouge in it. Both door cards have, they call them door cards in the UK. I'm starting to do that now. Door panels, America.
One of the things that I had to do to my CRX was put original engine mounts back into it because there was some H mounts or whatever the guy previously had done to it. So with this parts car here, and I cut the engine mounts out of the first parts car that I had, the red one, I'm using this one to measure the mounts and figure out exactly where those need to go. And so I've got that done in this car. This one wasn't so bad. This one was questionable on where it exactly should go. So what I did was I ended up putting the single cam, hooking it up, and then putting it in the car, measuring the parts car, and weld it up. We're just about done picking the bones off of this CRX parts car number 2. and getting every little clip and everything off of it. The seal, we've got just piles of stuff here, so that when we're putting together the one I'm building, we'll have an assortment of parts that we can just pick the best ones. And so we're just about done with that thing. Kind of looks good as a truck. Looks all right. But look at all these parts. And this is just from this car. You can see we've got the hatch, the glass, all these seals. So lots of good stuff that we got. A gauge cluster. And so, oh, we got a dash over here. My 18-year-old son, he's super jacked. He got his Milwaukee the other day. And he's like, hey, this gun will kick your gun's ass. And it's true, because I don't buy fancy, expensive tools like that, because for the cost of that gun, I could have bought 2 CRXs. But because he's got his new gun, I'm like, hey, I need these tires taken off. Okay, so I think we've stripped this thing pretty good, gotten all the pieces that we want to get out of it. One of the things with this car, I did leave the suspension on it. That red one that we got, that didn't have any suspension, so I didn't have a choice but to drag it across the garage floor. I ended up cutting the whole thing in pieces. It was a lot of work to cut it into pieces. So this one has the suspension. These aren't, sought after parts, control arms and stuff. You can get those in the like Rock Auto and stuff like that. So I'm leaving the suspension so I can roll this thing out of here and roll it to its final resting place. Other than, steering rack, that's something you can get. If you were gonna replace it, you'd replace it with a new one. I would anyway. And going down the end of the car, I don't think the e-brake cables are gonna be something that can't be found if needed. The shocks and springs are junk, so I think underneath here we're pretty set. The top side, we got the brake lines that I cut out. Got to get that grommet out. So this section of brake line, the rear brake line, sometimes they're difficult to get off when it's rusted like that. But when you need to make a brake line like a patch, you don't go buy brake line, you've had a parts car. So here could be a patch if needed. There's another patch. I've got fittings that I've saved over time where we can make double flare brake lines and do that. This seat here is torn up on the bolster there, and that bolt down there is rusted in and the slider does not work. Otherwise I would have taken that out and attempted to save this carpet, but on the other side there's a couple cuts on the carpet, so nothing really doing there. Looking around the car, there's, the fenders are bashed in. Windshield I would have liked to have had, but it's got cracks on it, so nothing there. This fender was all banged up. Thinking. I did cut this piece of metal out here. On my car, I believe I'm going to shave the antenna. There's a little antenna plastic here, and I'm going to be doing all the body work anyway, and I have decided that I'm going to paint the car myself. Yeah, I'm going to paint the car myself. And I'm going to paint it black. It's going to be fine. But I cut this piece out here because I'm going to shave that antenna, and I'll use the metal, hopefully from that portion has the right slope. I've done a shaved antenna before on the right-hand drive car, so not a huge deal. It's not even a real big hole, but that's why I cut this portion out. I thought about cutting part of this roof out just because it's good original metal. It's got a slope to it so you can patch it into a lot of different places. But I haven't done that. Don't think I will.
because I've got some other metal. And yeah, there isn't a whole lot left to the car. So what we'll do is we'll get Derek with his fancy new gun to put the wheels and tires back on. Now the salvage yard is a great place. I'm always there. A car they would normally dump into the yard. People would pick parts off of it, things like that. This one obviously has no parts that anybody's going to want. So ultimately the junkyard is a metal recycling place at the end of the day. So before we send this one to the scrap yard, we will pack in all the metal, not from just this car, but we've got oh, I don't know, brake rotors and stuff that's just around that's metal that we will put into the car so they can recycle that and we can get rid of it.
Should I try to break the stud?
Yeah, you should try to break the stud. Did it break? No.
No, but it drove the stud through the lug nut.
Sick. Yeah, stud came right through there. This is a full-blown Motorsports lug nut. Just an old one that we have. We have lots of them because those are my people. Yeah, it's gone. The car's all ready to go, except I pulled the stock steering wheel off. I don't know how we're gonna steer it to get it moved around. So I told the 18-year-old, come up with your best solution, get it done quick. What'd you come up with?
Well, saw 2 brake pads in the corner and
Oh, the old butterfly steering wheel from the dragster?
perfect.
That should be pretty sick. Well, let's see it busted on there.
All right.
Got parts car number 2 out to the junkyard, and it was pretty rusty. And we got the build car back home. I keep calling it the build car. I haven't come up with a name for it yet. All of my cars, the name just comes to me, but maybe you guys will have some suggestions in the comments with what we should call this one. It's an old street racer car that was purchased on the dirty cheap at $400, and we're buying parts cars, and we are going to make one super awesome clean daily driver out of it. B20 non-VTEC, just a little bit of power, and just nice interior, just nice fun driver. So maybe you have a name for that. I don't know, Ricky, or who knows. But comment if you have a good name for it. But the one we just dropped off at the junkyard paid dividends for us. If you see all of these parts that car has donated to not just this build, but once we are done with this car and it is the way I want it, we will be offering the rest of the parts for sale, or if people need them in the CRX community. But look at all these parts that, full interior, every bracket, door seal, window seal, a good passenger seat, shift linkage, dash, another gauge cluster. So lots of good parts from that car. That is the parts car number 2. So that's the second one. And I'm going to show you where I store all these parts, because I'm obviously not going to look at them until the metal work and the paint and stuff's done there. I store them right up there, right up Jacob's ladder, and I'll take you up there in a minute and show you all of the CRX parts, because not only are the parts from this car up there, the parts car number 1, the red one, is up there, and now all of these parts will be up there. So It's kind of my happy place.
Headed up to the CRX land where we have all of my interior there. That's interior part of number 2. There's number 2. Up here we've got everything we could ever need. Some tail lights. SI seats in good shape. So this is where I store everything. There's another hood and some stuff up there. There's a dash. So all of that. Don't look down! Gotta come up here.
So that'll do it for this episode's car adventure. We've done quite a bit. We're going to continue doing more. This spring, right now the 2JZ FRS is over at Full Blown Motorsports, getting a couple little things added. That will be a thing. That car will be a thing this spring at the drag strip. We're going racing this year, and so that's part of the reason why I'm busting so much ass on this CRX thing, because I know that once spring comes, the FRS is going to need some of my attention and focus, and so we're going to do that. I never really wanted to have a car with that much money into it that was just a race car that you took racing like 6 or 7 times a year. But if I had the CRX that I'm building completed, I wouldn't feel so bad, because I would still have a car that I love to go cruising and all that stuff. On the next episode, you'll likely see my 95 Honda Civic SI, all original, 62,000 miles. Next week, I believe it's going live on Bring a Trailer, which is a really big deal for me just because of the experience of having a car on Bring a Trailer. On my Instagram, I'm going to have a contest. All you have to do is comment with what the final price will be on that 95 Honda Civic Si. You go back a couple videos, I did a walk around of it. That was for the auction listing. So you'll be able to see the car, see its condition. It's got some flaws, but it's got really low miles. So it's hard to say what it'll do during that auction starting hopefully next week. But if you're on my Instagram at SteveMode62, all you'll have to do when you see that post is comment what you think it's going to sell for. And whoever's closest, ba-bing, $50 to you, Venmo or PayPal or whatever the hell you do. I think it'll be fun. It's definitely going to be fun for me as far as the experience of having a car on a website like Bring a Trailer and the collectors that buy their cars and look at cars and stuff like that. So I'm really interested to see what it'll go for. And so I think it's just fun to bring everybody else like you into it with a contest. And then we'll continue doing CRX stuff. So until next time, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see ya.